Hey everyone, welcome back to the middle of nowhere. This video is going to be something a little bit different, something I've often thought about. Maybe you guys have as well. It plays right into exactly what this channel is kind of all about, like what's brought us all together, and that is, why do we read? Reading's always a very important part, mainly so we can know the history of the world, all these other things. Like, I get that part, but why do we read what we read? Why choose the fantasy novels? To be honest, they're not going to be the most important piece of literature that we could ever consume in the history of our lives. Why do we read thrillers? Why? Just why? And I've been thinking about it for a little bit, and I can only answer for me personally. I can't answer for you, of course. I know we all have our own reasons for why we read, but I'm going to go over 3 points of why I personally read. And I'd be interested to know, like, do these relate to you? Do you read for some of the same reasons? First question I asked is, why do I read? Is it because I really want to see if I could catch a killer without having to put myself in physical peril? That's definitely a possibility. Is it because I could secretly be interested in being an assassin, hunting down all these people, all these targets, and knowing that it is illegal and that nobody would ever really like me? Come on, we all know that that's just a fantasy, but yet I'm still drawn to it. Maybe it's because we want to see the history of worlds in a different light, like Norse mythology. Like, what is it truly is? How can it, like, how did people really live this? Or maybe it's because I want to go out into space and see the final frontier, but knowing that it's on an impossible dream. But what's really out there? These were all questions that I started thinking about as I thought about the books I read. And first one came to me is that really it's none of those things and all of those things. I read because I enjoy it. It's a favorite pastime of mine. Ever since I was little, I've loved to read and consuming all kinds of stories, be it from the little kids' stories that I still enjoy reading with my kids today, to the biggest, densest fantasy novel that you can think of. But I truly enjoy discovering the story and the worlds that are created. I see books as works of art for me. Books truly can be a work of art. They are just like that portrait, that grand master painting, the Da Vinci's paintings on the wall. Novels can be that same type of thing, this amazing thing that's been created from nothing, really, just using our own imagination. And it is what makes reading so fascinating to me, is how we all read the same book, and yet we can all take away something completely different as being the highlight for us. For example, like this book right here. I've yet to read this one, but this is a true work of art. From the cover to inside, seeing the actual pages and art. And each page being carefully crafted onto paper so that it looks pleasing to the eye and easy to read. That level of care and wonder provides for us to have something absolutely amazing, and that we are able to take a little snippet into our own minds and create something for that one thing to stand out. Which brings me to the next point. Sometimes we read so we can talk about it. It's a great thing to be able to talk about all these different books. It's great that you have this experience. You don't like that book, but I do. I love that book, but you don't. And that's perfectly okay. But it provides us a topic of conversation that we can all talk about and find common ground in that we enjoyed books, that we enjoyed that read, that we enjoyed the time we took in order to read those novels. And I love the conversations that happen. I love seeing the joy that people have on their faces when I've recommended a book to them and they're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. It's incredible. I think it's incredible that we can bond over that, whether we're in person or not. This wonderful thing called the internet has brought us together to talk about books, and it's amazing. And I love it. And that's another reason I read, is to create some of these friendships, not only with all of you, but also with the characters. Sometimes my own life becomes better because of what I see characters in novels do. Yeah, I recognize that a lot of the books I read and the characters that I really enjoy are not great people, but at the same time, they have taught me life lessons. And that brings me to like one of my favorite books, which is The Way of Kings. I'm not shy about it. I know it's not everybody's, but that book spoke to me at a time when I really needed it. This is my final point. Sometimes reading can be therapeutic. We all go through stress. We all have it. There's no lie about it. How we deal with that stress is going to be vast and different. Some people eat. Some people just let it stew. But we all have to have that creative release in order to feel better about how we're living our lives. And for me, that was reading. I always found joy in the read. I feel relaxed. It calms my mind. It focuses it. I can turn off the outside world for a little bit and escape into this wonderful journey of the novel. And sometimes those books just hit you at a time when you really need it. That's what The Way of Kings did for me. It was the book I needed at that time. I can't pinpoint an exact reason why or an exact character. Maybe it was just because of that time of my life. It was going through something really big, and that was the novel that was able to ease some of that suffering. But it did become a form of relaxation for me, as well as a way that I felt better about myself. This has been another journey as I go through and find out what more I can do. I still find reading is the best therapy for me. My mind is able to focus on the words, and I feel better about myself when I set the book down. It allows me to get a better sleep and everything. But those are 3 reasons that I read. 1 is just for fun. 2, it's great to talk about. And 3, it's a stress release. Those are my 3 reasons for reading. My top 3 anyway. I found that pretty much there are no wrong answers. There's no end to the answers that anybody could have. It's fascinating to see and fascinating to discover everything that everybody else has. I encourage you to look deep inside yourself. This is our time to reflect here in the middle of nowhere, I guess, on why do you read? I'd be curious to know your answers. Are yours similar to mine? Are they vastly different? Once again, that's one of the things that we can all bond and mesh over, and especially in this wonderful world of BookTube and Discord and all the other social media, is that we can come and discuss these type of things. So I encourage you to let me know. Encourage you to talk with your friends, talk with others about why they read. Let's create this open discussion. And I thank you for watching. As always, happy reading and stay great.